Hey everybody, Thyme here with my buddy Zach. Wanted to talk to you today about something I feel is mentioned quite frequently in certain areas of growing plants, but is kind of left out entirely of the conversation when it comes to houseplants, and that is root pruning. You hear basically in bonsai they talk about root pruning a lot. In hydroponics it's a very common topic. You hear it a bit more and more nowadays with vegetable garden and particularly tomatoes and things like that. It's a very common practice, but a lot of people don't do it with houseplants. And it's actually, root pruning is something that it can be very beneficial to help maintain actually a very healthy plant. Because generally what happens is if you're growing a plant in a pot, the taproot will grow to the bottom of the pot and having nowhere to go will continue to sort of circle around.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think most people who have houseplants are familiar with pot-bound roots. One of the problems with that is it continues to grow the same single root instead of making more and more secondary and tertiary roots. And one of the best ways to encourage a lot of the really fine roots that grow throughout the whole system, as opposed to just those long single roots going around, is to prune those back. I think this scares a lot of people. I think a lot of people are frightened by the idea of like cutting or removing parts of the root system. I think particularly in houseplants we're kind of like told to leave those alone, and we prune the top maybe if it gets too large. And one of the most common ways that they do this in bonsai is by literally just cutting off the roots. They take a pair of shears usually and just cut off large chunks of the root so that they can fit it into these small pots. But what is more commonly used in, say, vegetable gardening and things like that would be air pruning.
Okay.
And I personally am a big fan of air pruning. It's a safer way in many ways to prune your roots, because when you cut your roots you actually end up having sort of an open wound or open sore. And if you're using a lot of organic materials in your soils, as I do, the chances for bacteria and infection are much higher if you've got a cut point.
Okay.
But if you allow air to prune the roots back without you actually having to cut anything, then there's never an open wound. By air pruning, I mean allowing the roots to basically grow out of the pot or out of the container.
Yeah, so dry out naturally.
To naturally dry out. And once that tip point sort of dries out, what happens is it starts creating roots further back on the main root and sending out secondary roots. Those secondary roots will grow out, they'll eventually hit air, and then they will also again break off into tertiary or third roots and so on and so forth.
Air pruning. How about showing how this is done, eh?
Okay, so I do both actually root prune, like cut the roots in certain situations, but in most things at home, I like to air prune, and there's a couple different methods you can use to do that. One very simple thing is to get a basket like this, similar to any basket that maybe, or pot that a plant would come in, except it's got all of these holes
in
in
it. Hydroponic thing? Or?
Yeah, I found it actually in the section for growing like water plants. So if you had a little pond or something outdoors and you wanted to plant some aqua plants in there, you could do that and allow the roots to. But it's really great because the roots very quickly find their way to these holes and then start to die back, which causes the equivalent of back budding, but sort of back rooting. So you could just basically put your plant right inside of here and then treat it like a pot. Obviously you want some sort of tray to catch the excess water, and some soil will slowly come out the sides, but because with this kind here, the holes being so small, you do reduce a bit of that. And I just, as the dirt collects in the tray, I just sort of fish it back in, and it seems to work. Another method I really like, because it's even more simple, and you can use pots that you already have. You can use ceramic pots or the plastic pot that this came in. What I'm going to try to do is basically prune the roots back, but keep it in this same sized pot until the roots get really nice and healthy throughout the whole thing, and then I can transplant it into something else larger. And the way that I like to do that is with shoe covers.
Oh shit! So if you have like disgusting feet, you want to have your shoes on indoors at a party or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I guess you're like gross and stuff.
They're similar to hair nets and beard net kind of material. They make jumpsuits, I know, like you can get whole jumpsuits made out of this very thin material. But I like the shoes because they have this elastic band on them.
Yeah.
And they kind of stretch out. So you can easily just put this into a pot like that and allow the elastic.
So you're not going to lose all that soil.
Exactly. And then this is a great way, even with keeping with this pot or even going in the same size pot, you can just do that. And then helps reduce, I'm going to actually use a second one around here just so that we don't get dirt on this table. But basically, means you can just simply take this out.
And the roots in the bottom?
It doesn't actually, this one's not root bound.
Look at that.
But there aren't a whole lot of roots growing yet. So we'd like these to sort of outside ones to die back and start making some new ones closer into the center. But all I really have to do is set that in there. And then I'm done. I'm going to leave the plant in the soil that it's already in. It's already probably gotten lots of, the fertilizers and stuff that they grow in there. I will eventually add some of my own compost, probably, some of my own worms and things to help it along over time. But for now, that's basically ready to go. And over time, the roots will grow to the edge of that fabric.
Yeah.
And they'll start to die out and start to spread more and more roots.
That is dead simple.
Yeah, it was really, when I came across these, I thought this is fantastic. I think it was like €3 for 10 pairs, so 20, basically. And then when I got them, I just went to all these pots I had sitting in my house and took the plants out, put them in that thing, and put them right back in the pot they were in. And very quickly I started to notice some results. I noticed at first for some plants, not for all of them, but a little bit of sort of sadness, you're killing off parts of the root, so
of course,
some of them got a little bit of droopy, but very quickly came back. I found this very effective for basil for sure so far. We want to talk about plants.
I don't know if you have any because we were shooting it at my home, and I don't know, I have this one plant. I don't know. We were talking about it earlier. Yeah, very sad all of a sudden. She was doing really well, and now she's mucho sad.
So this is the Dave, the peperomia. This is a peperomia plant, as is this, which are, they're related to the pepper plant, actually.
Okay.
So there could be a couple of things going wrong here. I think one is, because it's winter, the heat inside, the air is fairly dry, and so I think it actually dried out a little quicker than you expected. I would just keep an eye on it. I know that they don't like a ton of water, but I think it would probably like a little bit more. And I think it got a little shocked. I have a big problem myself with a lot of plants in winter here in Berlin. Because not only compared to like places in the US do you have the days being far shorter, there's months on end where there's not foggy, a sunny day.
There's not,
So even with you have short days and no sunlight, so it was getting a lot of great indirect sunlight during the summer, but in the winter it was barely getting any indirect sunlight. And I would say move it maybe to a window. Because the days are still cloudy, so it's generally not going to get direct sunlight, even sitting on the windowsill. So that may help, but if we do get a, really sunny day or something like that, maybe move it back. And it should, it's still alive, it's still got some health in there. It looks like it's still growing a new leaf and some underground stuff, so I think it just kind of went into shock mode, or, winter sort of sleep as best it can, and is now probably starting to come back a bit. I think you'll hopefully see an improvement, a little bit of water and a little bit of love. I wouldn't fertilize for a little bit. It's generally you only want to fertilize when a plant is healthy already as an extra boost. Whereas if you fertilize now, it might be too much for the root system that is in there.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd wait till it starts bouncing back a little bit, starts looking a little bit healthier, and then maybe you can start fertilizing again. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll do that. Let's see what happens with it.
Cool.
Taking this to a window. Play safe.
So a little update from last week's video. We talked about using aloe to help improve the growth of cuttings. So I left the cuttings here with Zach for a week. I haven't seen them until today, but as I think you guys can see,
they're all very happy.
There are no visible roots yet at the moment, but it does.
It's only been a couple of days, though.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So.
I'm so surprised that stuff you just nipped.
Yeah, just
bushes and stuff just came alive right away.
I didn't even cut them at an angle like you're supposed to.
No.
I literally just
really gross cuts.
broke them off of the.
Yeah.
And I've had great success with this as well, and it seems like these guys are doing great. And the nice thing is, the more foliage that this puts out, the more energy it's going to have to build those roots as well. So I think it's a good sign. I mean, we'll see. We still don't have any actual roots yet, so can't count our chickens before they hatch. But yeah, it's looking good. The water's getting a little murky. We actually left
that aloe thing.
I left a piece of the aloe in the water, which I tend to do at home. It slowly dissolves and kind of smells. So if that bothers you, if it's near you, you can change it out maybe once a week. But
I have not.
Yeah, I tend to leave mine in there and just let nature take its course. So
that is where that smell came from, by the way. Oh yeah, I've been wondering actually.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't bother to check?
No, because it's so close to my computer that I've been like, there's some smell here somewhere.
Yours doesn't. Your water doesn't actually smell that.
No, it's not that. It's something else.
It's
something else. Something close to my computer has a weird, funky smell, and I have not found what it is.
Could be you. Yeah. So we'll come back. Oh, actually, I do see. Looks like there are a couple of roots on this one here.
Oh, that guy.
They could just be old. They could just be fibers from the. That's not in focus.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. Anyway, they could just be fibers left over from when I pulled it off, but it looks suspiciously like a root.
Okay,
so,
let's wait until it's actually.
So we'll look at those again next week, see if we have more progress. And, cool. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and comment if you have any questions, and feel free to like and share and all that good stuff.
Yeah, don't count your chickens before your eggs. It's not a saying. It's just a good thing.
Yeah, no, I generally count my eggs first.
Count your eggs first, then count your chickens.
Yeah.
It's just easier that way.